real estate team. There's a lot of different people that think, well, I don't want to have a real estate team, Rick. I really would like to take care of people myself and do everything on my own. That's called a traditional real estate agent. Then there's people that say, I don't want to do everything myself. I can hire specialists to come in and build a big organization to take care of more people at a higher level. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the 7 levels of building a real estate team today and decide if it's something that's right for you. The first thing I'll say when it comes to building a real estate team is it should happen organically, right? It should be born out of a need for leverage because you have so much business. To say, I'm going to build it first and then I'll get the business is not going to work. Believe me, I've seen this happen. I've experienced it myself. I have been able to build 2 mega real estate teams in 2 different states, but it's because it was born out of a need for leverage because lead generation was going so well. If you master lead generation, you have a couple of choices. You can either start giving away business to other people, you can throttle back if you want to and not do as much, or you can build a team and take advantage of your ability to generate a massive amount of business. That's really a struggle for most agents. Most people never get by that particular point, which is mastering lead generation. So if you've gotten to that point and you're really good at bringing in business, now we can start talking about building a team. We can start talking about, what do you want to do? Do you want to give away those leads? Just take referral fees? That's totally fine. Do you want to throttle back and just kind of work at your own pace? That's fine too, but it's kind of a waste of that skill and that talent that you have of building a big business. So let's build a team. So there's 7 levels here. Let's talk about it. I will do a video on hiring and onboarding into your culture, into their role, in training people. Where do you find talent? There's a lot of different things to master along the way. And that's one of the challenges when it comes to team building is people have never done it before. They've never hired anybody. They've never interviewed anybody. So they start hiring people that they like instead of people that are going to be good at the role that they need. That's a big mistake in the industry. So people try and hire somebody they like. Turns out it doesn't really work very well because they don't have the skill set that's required to fulfill the role. So there's animosity or some bitterness, and then it doesn't work out. And then they try it again and it doesn't work out. After a while, they're like, you know what? I don't want to build a team. I don't want to manage people. It doesn't work. It's too much work and effort for something that's just not going to work, and I've tried it before. Well, that's like saying I ate at a restaurant and it was really bad. I didn't like the food, so I'm never going to eat out again, right? It doesn't make any sense. That's kind of a stupid statement. We all realize things can work on paper, but it's the execution that makes a difference. And teams do work. They don't always work. There's a lot of teams out there that don't function very well, that are very disorganized and drop the ball a lot. But there are some teams that do an amazing job. And if you look at it on paper, as a team, you can service the client better than an individual agent could do. If you're an individual agent and you're in a signing, let's say you're with a client at a title company and you're in a signing for an hour, and right as you walk in, you turn your phone off. Right? You don't want to get interrupted. So you turn your phone off. Well, you have a seller who's got an emergency question that's just burning in their brain, and they call you right as you walk in, right as you put your phone on silent, so you don't see the call. And they're like, I need to get a hold of you right now. I've got this question and we need to have it answered, right? Typical seller panic about something. Well, you get done with the signing, you talk to your people, so it's an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes later, you see your message, you call them right back. So in your mind, you called them right back as fast as you possibly could, right? What's going on in their mind, however? In their mind, wow, it took Rick an hour and a half to call me back. That's really frustrating to them. So if you have a team, somebody else that could answer your phone for you when you're in that meeting, if you had some sort of leverage, and a team doesn't have to be 15 or 20 people. A team can be leveraging systems and tools. It doesn't even have to be leveraging people yet. But if you have a system, if you have a virtual receptionist that can answer your phone for you, that right there is a big step into making your business more professional and able to service your clients at a higher level. That's the whole point of a team. You can service people at a higher level because you have specialists who are really good at certain things taking care of the client. So let's talk about it. Level 1. Most agents in the real estate industry, if you look at NAR, there's almost 1.6 million realtors now. In fact, a big percentage of that, like 30-some% of those, are in the last year. And almost 50% of those are in the last 2 years. So a lot of people are becoming real estate agents here recently. Well, how do you build a team then if you're really good at building lead gen and you're really good at getting leads? Well, number 1 is level 1, which is what I call you. Level 1 is a traditional agent. You do everything. You show property, you list property, you're doing the signs, you're making the flyers, you're doing all the data entry. You might hire a photographer, that's good. That's starting to leverage a little bit. You might hire a sign person, a photographer, a runner to put your lock boxes up. But for the most part, you're doing everything. A traditional agent. That's what I was in my real estate career for many years. A traditional agent doing everything. Once you make that first hire, that's how you go to level 2. Level 2 is typically the first hire should be, it not always is, but it should be a transaction coordinator, an administrative type person. Here's a mistake I see a lot of people make in real estate. Their first hire is another agent. They go, well, geez, Rick, I have all these leads. I need so-and-so to go out and show property for me and take over all these buyer leads so I can focus my time on listings, which I can leverage better. And buyers take a lot of time, a lot of energy driving around town. I'm going to hire, another agent to do that for me. The problem with hiring a buyer agent at first is now you become the administrative assistant. You're training them. You're actually the one that has to go through their paperwork. You're the TC as well as you're trying to do your own business. So it's really a mistake, and I see it all the time. The first hire should be an administrative coordinator, a transaction coordinator, a transaction manager, somebody to handle the paperwork and the back end side of the business so you can go out and show more property and get more buyers under contract and get more listings. So the first hire is a transaction coordinator. Level 3, you hire your second person, and that's another administrative person. It's an executive assistant or a marketing manager. So you have a transaction coordinator to take care of the contracts, once you have a contract all the way to closing, and you have a marketing person to help you with your database, organizing your lead gen, getting consistent with your lead gen. So you heard that right. Your first 2 hires are administrative people. That's really important to understand. Most agents do this wrong, and they hire a buyer agent right up front to help with buyers, and then they become the administrative person, and they wonder why their income goes down and their frustration goes up. They're doing things in the wrong order. So level 1 is you as a traditional agent. Level 2 is you hire a transaction coordinator. Level 3, you have the transaction coordinator, and now you hire a marketing administrative assistant. Somebody else who's on the admin side. They can be a runner, they can be data entry, they can work with your database, they can do graphic design, branding, marketing, behind the scenes kind of things that need to be done. You're still all of sales. You're still the buyer agent and the listing agent doing everything when it comes to sales. That changes at level 4 when you finally hire your first buyer agent. That's level 4. You hire a buyer's agent. That person now can take some time off of your hands to go show property. You're starting to transition into your primary role, which is the listing agent. You're now the listing specialist. Okay, that's really important to understand. And then level 5 is you hire a listing specialist. So you have a buyer's agent who can now become a lead buyer specialist if they're really good, and they can hire and train other buyer agents as well. And now you have a listing agent that you're training to go out and take listings, but you're still doing listings yourself at level 5. At level 6, you become the CEO. So you hire a lead listing specialist to train all the listing agents. You hire a lead buyer agent to train all the buyer agents and recruit everybody. And you have a lead marketing and administrative leader that brings in now ISAs, inside sales agents, to make calls and set appointments, maybe telemarketers. They hire and train everybody on the staff. Data entry, putting together packets for the agents. When they have a listing appointment, there should be a packet ready to go. That should be done for them by the administrative staff. So you have a lead administrator, a lead listing specialist, and a lead buyer specialist. You're the CEO overseeing all of this. Okay? And then level 7 is you hire a CEO to replace you. And then you go out and do whatever you want. You can do some deals here and there. You can work on transactions if you'd like, or you can start another team in another state and expand it. You can do whatever it makes sense to you, but hiring that person is replacing yourself in level 7 as the CEO. Now, I understand most people never get to level 7. Most people don't want to. In fact, most teams somewhat, they kind of top out around level 4 or 5. They've got some buyer agents and some listing people, but the agent themselves who started the team, they still enjoy real estate. They like listings. They like being involved at a level that they feel comfortable with. So they typically stay at that level 4 or 5 level, occasionally level 6 where they're the CEO and they've got other people under them, but usually it's level 4 or 5 forever. And that's fine. You can have a very functional team of 15, 20. I've coached agent teams with 35, 40 agents on the team. And you can stay in that level. And I will say, most people that start teams enjoy it. They enjoy the process. They enjoy seeing other people succeed. And you can become a lot more efficient if you have specialists. People say, well, Rick, if you're a level 1 agent, you're doing everything. The challenge is maybe I'm really good at lead generation, but I'm not very good at detail work, at tasks, at being very accurate with things, right? That's usually two different kinds of mindsets, two different minds. A mind that's really good at generating is usually not that good at nurturing and follow-up and detail work. So a team can allow you to hire specialists in each of those areas. You think about a football team, right? Think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? With Tom Brady as the quarterback. Well, Tom Brady does not play defensive end, and he's not the punter. And he's certainly not a wide receiver. He's the quarterback. There's one thing that he does, one position he plays very well. Somebody else plays defensive end much better than he does. Somebody else plays wide receiver much better than he does. So people are always afraid to say, well, I don't want to hand off control. That's one of the biggest hurdles for agents when it comes to building a team, is they want to control everything. Does that sound like you? I write the best addendums, Rick. I can do everything and I want it done my way. If you have to control everything, you're going to hit a ceiling at some point. And that ceiling is going to be, well, what is your personal capacity? Everybody has what Stephen Covey called a PC, my own personal capacity. Some people have more than others. I've seen individual agents sell 70 and 80 homes a year by themselves with no leverage and no help. I literally have. Most agents top out between 30 and 40 a year. 30 and 40 sales a year in real estate by yourself, and you are working a lot. And that is most people's capacity. That's about it. There are some crazy people out there that have amazing capacities that can do 70 or 80. Very rare, however. So if you think 30 or 40 transactions a year, let's just say 40, at a $500,000 price point, that's $20 million in sales. 40 transactions at $500,000 is $20 million. You say, well, Rick, how do I build a team or a business that sells more than $20 million in homes every year? Well, the short answer is you don't. If you're by yourself, you are not going to do that unless you learn to leverage and build a team. I coach teams that sell $200, $300 million a year. Well, how would you do that? How do you sell $300 million a year? Well, you don't do it by yourself. You learn how to leverage, and you learn how to find other people that are really good at things that you're not. And you let them do those things that they're really good at. And what that does is, as your team grows and gets bigger, your role and your sort of the position you play gets much more specialized and specific, which is fun because you don't have to be good at 50 things. You can be good at 2 things and still be very successful. And you can pick the 2 things that you enjoy the most. That's the neat thing about real estate, is you can build it any way you want. So why not build it around things you actually enjoy? So I think team building is wonderful. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I love real estate because of its entrepreneurial tendencies. If you're a business owner and you like to be entrepreneurial, real estate is fantastic. But it starts with mastering lead generation. If you don't master lead generation first, you're not going to get anywhere building a team. It's just not going to happen. You can build all you want. You can hire people and lose a lot of money. And I've seen people do it. It has to come organically from being really good at generating business. So remember the graph that I taught you before. You're either a networker, a marketer, a prospector, or a converter. If you're one of those 4, figure out which one you are and get really good at it. Once you get really good at it and you start creating more business than you can comfortably handle, now it's time to start thinking about leverage. That first hire is a transaction coordinator. That second hire is another administrative person. The third hire is now a buyer's agent, or they can also do listings, but somebody to take things off of your plate so you can focus on generating more business. Because if you go out doing the business, now you don't have as much time to generate. You want to stay in generation mode. That's what builds the business and rises the tide to float everybody's boat, right? If you generate more and more business, you can have more and more people on the team. But if you're out doing tasks, showing property, or doing things that keep you from generating more business, now we're going to have this roller coaster again, right? We generate a bunch of business and then we stop generating. We go out and we work it. We do business, work with those clients. Well, then we end up closing everything out and now we start all over again. We're going to generate again. And a lot of realtors live that roller coaster. The only way to get off that roller coaster is to stay consistently in lead generation mode. How do you do that? If you get really business with business and clients and people who need your attention, you have to leverage. You've got to leverage the paperwork and the back office tasks first to administrative people, and then you start leveraging the clients themselves to really good agents. And I always talk about this: hire for values. You want to hire good people that share your values. I'll do a whole other video on that: how to hire, how to find talent, how to locate people, where are they, how to interview them, how to onboard them into their role, into the culture of your team, and then how to keep them moving forward and having goals of their own. One mistake I see people make all the time in real estate is they start hiring people and now they're training them and their own production goes down. And until you have a pretty developed team with several producing agents, your income is your primary income. So if your income is suffering because you're hiring and training and spending a lot of time with other people, then the entire business income is suffering. And that's where a lot of agents quit and don't think the team thing works, because they're stuck straddling that line between producing, which is how they earn their money, and hiring and training, which is how they want to build leverage. And they're stuck in the middle. Well, you have to do it in the correct order. So I've laid out the 7 steps. I would love to hear in the comment sections from you if you've done this. Where are you at in this process? Have you mastered lead generation yet? If you have, let's talk about what the next steps are for you. If you haven't, nothing else matters. Lead generation is everything. If you get really good at lead generation, now we have the opportunity to leverage and grow something that's really going to work.